Yo, 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 what the fuck is up, fight fans? This your man 3K the Boss, aka Mr. Two Hands Up. You already know what it is, man. And we got a special one tonight, man. You know, this is volume one of Duss'E and DT3s in this in these boxing streets, man. So I mean the brother to the right of me, he don't need no introduction, but I'm gonna just let him go ahead and do that himself.
You already know what it is, man. It's your boy DT3, Boom Beezy, man. We back at you. Got my little one with me, chilling with us too. So, man, we finna just cook on some real good stuff this evening, man. We finna cook on Fury. I really have a little issue with Michael Hunter and the stuff he's saying because he's feeling since AJ lost to Usyk, he feel that him and AJ on the same level. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, and we got Ryan, Instagram model Garcia, that's sitting up there trying to fight Royce Gamboa, and I already see the narrative they finna pull behind that deal. Man, we got a lot of stuff to cook on tonight, man. Got a lot of stuff to cook on.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Boone. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad we could do this shit. We've been talking about doing this thing for 2 years. We finally, managed to pull it together. And it's a lot of shit going on in boxing. 2021 just been a roller coaster, of epic proportions, and it ain't necessarily been in a good way. You can come off, the back of having a good weekend on September 25th, no matter how you look at it. As a fan of boxing, if you were a fan of AJ or you're not a fan of AJ, had a sensational fight, damn near could be considered fight of the year type, honors. And then to know that, all of this janky shit is going on in the boxing world, like Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos, I don't know if you know, but if you don't know, now you know, is officially off. So that fight won't be happening. Triller's trying to get out of, the millions that they've invested into a deflated fight from the get-go anyway. Like, here's my thing, Boom. Who the hell is going to jump out there and put up $6 million for a Teofimo Lopez versus George Kambosos fight? Fuck it. You ain't even got to say George Kambosos, but who is going to put up $6 million for a Teofimo Lopez fight?
Don't know. Evidently, Bob wasn't gonna do it, especially against Kambosos.
Bob Arum, his own promoter, was only willing to sink $2 million in it and told him to go out into the market if he wanted to. And the market, surprisingly enough, came back what it was. I believe Eddie only came in the purse bid at 3.25 million. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Shout out to everybody in the building. But here's the facts of the facts of it. And it all goes back to Michael Hunter. It all goes back to Triller. It all goes back to, just like what these boxers are doing based around, this new money that's being thrown around, in the atmosphere, whatever. But the fact remains is this. Teofimo Lopez, how many main events has Teofimo Lopez starred in, or fought in, I should say?
2.
I don't even know if it's 2.
The co-main was he didn't main event the co-main?
Co-main was co-main.
That was well, then one.
Yep, only one. And that was against Vasily Lomachenko. And I'm gonna ask you, Boom, do you think that fight was a main event because of Teofimo Lopez, or do you think it was a main event because Vasily Lomachenko?
Vasily Lomachenko. That was who was pretty much selling the fight. It wasn't Teofimo. Teofimo had to do a lot of talking to promote himself to sell the fight for him. But everybody mainly was watching the fight to see Vasily Lomachenko beat Teofimo. It was a lot more people saying Loma was going to beat Teo than Teo was going to beat Loma.
These are facts. It was almost, the energy around the fight before the fight even happened, or the kid even, speaking that fight into existence, and wanting that fight for himself. People were more looking at Teofimo like the nerve of this guy, and once again, he's never been a main event card. He's always been on co-mains. He has no type of existing history for how you can gauge him as a fighter and what type of ticket sales he brings in. So here's the thing, I can't fault Teofimo for Triller stupidity, because if this is supposed to be a social media and social networking company, multi-billion-dollar corporation who puts on all types of events, I'm sure that you're supposed to have some type of professionals around you, right, Boom, that deal with your finance, that would be able to look and gauge numbers and be able to tell you if this is jumping out the window or if this is just taking a $6 million splash of money that we can afford to lose. And obviously, it wasn't just taking a splash of money they could afford to lose, because they want the money back now. The fight is falling all apart for so many different reasons. So, stupidly enough, Triller just made all types of an ass of themselves, because in what world would you bank $6 million, recouping $6 million off of freaking Teofimo Lopez fighting George Kambosos and then
Your
doing it in
first
the States?
time though, bruh. Your first time. It ain't like they didn't did this. I mean, with other fighters, they did a little exhibition with Roy Jones and Mike Tyson. Yeah, you gonna get some money from that because of the names you use. But for your first real actual boxing event, no exhibition bullshit, real boxing event, you want to use Teofimo Lopez and you want to put him on a high platform, pay-per-view and all that, thinking people finna buy that. Not gonna happen, bro. It's not gonna happen. You ain't got the money to promote, to push that. For one, you're not gonna push Teofimo Lopez like that. Don't nobody know who Teofimo is. He's not a draw. He's not gonna sell out by himself. He might sell your high school basketball gym. He might sell that out, but he ain't selling out no MGM Grand. He ain't selling out no Madison Square Garden. I'm just saying, by himself. People fail to realize when I talk about the draw, you got to be selling out by yourself. No matter who you fighting, where you fighting, you selling out everywhere.
And see, that's the thing. Teofimo Lopez and his father, as big-headed as they are, as over-the-top and outlandish as they may speak in confidence of themselves, realistically, they have to, understand that, their situation, their stardom rested on we're 1 to 2 fights away from being the biggest star 135 has to offer. Like if you would have had a Devin Haney fight next, and then possibly, maybe a Ryan Garcia or, Tank Davis, or in any fashion, because the thing is, you hold a majority of the belts. So it'll be a lot easier for you to get those fights, even though there is the danger of, your power, your quick twitch power. But at the same time, Devin Haney wanted to make that fight evident. And if anybody would have blown that fight up and you would have got money guaranteed on the front end, and you would have been guaranteed, there's no question that fight would have happened if the zone would have been behind the driver's seat of it. But instead, you played around a whole year with George Kambosos. Now, here's something that I said on Twitter, Boom, because it really starts to make me think, right? Like, okay, this man is holding the majority of the belts. He basically wasted a whole year and hasn't even had one fight. This George Kambosos thing has been completely ran to, straight dog shit. Now, we know that the man moved, to fight from, what was it, June or July, all the way back to like October or something like that. Over the summer. So when you look at things like that, it makes me think, with everything falling through, I'm like, is it the fact that maybe you just a big boy and you really can't make the weight? You try to prolong yourself some time, you still probably can't healthily make the weight. So but at the same time, you're not really ready to forego your only bargaining chip, because, with the belts comes a nice, a bump in your purse. But at the same time, maybe Teofimo Lopez ain't ready for 140, but his body telling him that it really is, and he just trying to, buy himself a little bit more time. I don't know, but it's starting to make me think. I'm like, yo, this ain't no little dude. And I mean, George Kambosos is. I mean, this is a fight somebody you should knock out within the first 5 rounds. I don't see what the problem is, especially when you originally wanted to have the fight in Australia because you could get $1 million. So I don't see what the issue is.
And it would have did numbers because Cambosis is dumbass famous out there. So it would have sold out. Just because everybody and their mama would have wanted to come see Cambosis fighting this for the all the unified lightweight champion of the world. So I mean, everybody with their mama out there would have came to see that man fight. So I mean, I feel like he could have just, if he really wanted to make that fight happen, get it over with, he would have did that shit in Australia. If he really felt like he could knock him out and beat him and all that shit, he would have did that shit then. And I don't see why he didn't. But I really don't feel like Teofimo want that fight. I don't think he wanted that fight. I think he just was trying to look like he wanted that fight, but he really want to move up to 140. But then if he move up to 140, he got a lot of talent up there that he really not ready for real. That he really don't want no problems with. Because he really don't want no Josh Taylor smoke. He really don't want to go to 140 and then his first fight beat Josh Taylor. He don't want that. He really don't. Not for real.
Like, that's facts. Like, let's be realistic here. That is not a fight that Teofimo Lopez could win this year or within the next 3 to 4 years. Too advanced, stylistically, checks off too many boxes, has thump, and has serious vicious dog in him. Like, he wants to hurt you, embarrass you, beat you, bloody you, and he does it in a technician's, he does it at a very high level, man. It's like, Josh Taylor, paints brushes in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Like, he grabs paint brushes in the ring. Basically, what I'm saying is, that man, poetry in motion. You know what I'm saying? That's like what he does is not something that, you're going to see just any fighter be able to do. It take a special type of fighter to have, Iron Man type of, artillery hooked up in you. And that's just how Josh Taylor is. And he ain't no small 140 at that. Like, Teofimo Lopez would just be stuck in the mud, befuddled, just get pivoted, and just get truly worked on all night and just broken down in such a bad way, you know what I mean? Very methodically, in such a very bad way.
Hold on, bro. I gotta get these loads real quick. Right back.
Yeah, man. I just don't see Teofimo Lopez. I just don't think it looked too good for him at 140 right now. So maybe he procrastinating because he ain't ready to take that ride.
But he ain't gonna do nothing at 35 right now. He ducking the Loma fight. He not finna do that. He not finna fight Devin Haney. He finna do everything in his power not to fight Devin Haney. So where is it for Teofimo to go? He don't got nowhere to go. He really is stuck in the corner right now. He really is. Where he gonna go?
Facts. And the thing is, like, what he doesn't realize what he's done now. He's actually deflated his market value in the eyes of the fans because you prolonged your activity for so long for such what the fighting world would consider an inferior opponent, IBF mandatory or not. I mean, this dude going life or death with Lee Selby. But that's my personal opinion. No disrespect to anybody who high on Lee Selby. But I look at fights different. And Lee Selby ain't that. People looking at that as like, that's easy work. You should have got that out the way quickly. So by you prolonging this activity and being real divish and then turning around and doing the same shit to Cambosis that you bitched about the Top Rank and the rest of the world throwing a damn hissy fit, you know what I mean, for your extra money, you're going to try to lowball him in the same fashion.
Pretty much.
So at the end of the day, it's like, bro, the world got no fight from you. You basically are only known, all of your, look, let's be serious. All of your juice comes from one great win. That is it. One great win of a guy who just happened to come along and be special and just happened to move through multiple divisions in under 15 fights.
But that's all you need now, bro. That's all you need. I was talking about that shit in my boxing, the boxing group. I mean, the boxing bunch with Lisa Bells, Lady Chan, Coach Malachi, Leon Figures, and to name a few. We was talking about that earlier, and basically all you really need is fans. You don't gotta be good, bro. You don't have to have no real skill for real. Just be good enough to beat low B level, high C level opposition, and you might get one high B level, low A level opposition opponent in your career. You beat him, as in how Teofimo beat Lomachenko, and will blow you up bigger than what you really are all day, every day. Nowadays, it's not really about the best fighting the best. It's like, hey, Duss'E, you got more fans. Yeah, I know Boom can scrap, he can do all that, but nigga, you got the fans. You ain't got to fight Boom. You got the fans. You sell out by yourself. You don't need Boom. Even though the fans is crying for us to fight, but you already a millionaire. You already got millions and millions and millions of dollars. Fighters not hungry no more. That's the issue. So when you got fighters that's not hungry, and the promoters know that boxing is a poor man's sport. So all you got to do is just get a fighter to a place there where they not hungry no more, and they could just fight anybody on top of anybody to just basically please their fan base. They don't have to please the whole conglomerate of the sport of boxing. All they got to do is please their fan base or try to find a way to build their fan base. Canelo is the biggest American boxer in boxing. And he's Mexican. But he's the biggest one in America because he lives in America. He in America. Canelo is the biggest one. Now, what that tell you? When somebody who represents Mexico, but at the same time live on American soil, is the biggest fighter coming out of America. It's Canelo Alvarez, fucking Mexican. Not Deontay Wilder. Saul Canelo motherfucking Alvarez. Ain't that a bitch? Bullshit.
I mean, honestly, you put yourself in such a box, like for real. You really don't have any other choice but people to just see you how they see you at this point. I mean, like, for everybody who ever wanted to make excuses for you for them considering you and you being so green and going out and doing what you did, because nobody, not really anybody, gave you a chance outside of myself and a couple individuals when it came to that fight. So people were very impressed by what you did, the things you accomplished. But for you to move around in the manner in which you were, and it's very evident that everything that you spoke on in between that time, you just consistently put your foot in your mouth and you just sound like an asshole and that much more of a narcissist every time. So it just, once again, it just makes it hard for people to, want to save face for you, because now the veil is lifted from Teofimo. Like, his father can talk all crazy all day. He's going to have to now. He's going to have to poke his chest out a little bit farther now, because he's going to have to talk extra crazy for Teo in defense of his son, because nobody else is going to defend him. Because at this point, the only thing that can speak for Teofimo Lopez is a particular type of opponent and a particular type of outcome. Because realistically, if we go back to Lomachenko versus Lopez, I mean, we can look at the outcome of the fight and we could tell. If you look at the second half of the fight, I mean, my man, you just didn't demolish this dude. So let's not while you're riding a particular type of high and you feel like you're so self-entitled and you're running around here with 2 WBC French fry belts. I don't even know what the second French fry belt is for, but he just running around with 2 WBC French fry belts among the legitimate titles. You just look crazy. And you jumped out there with a company that has no promotional value, that basically takes old played out, rappers. I mean, old played out rappers currently, but monumental rap legends, and you put them in versus duos, and you try to hold fights at the same time to lend more viewership by using the viewership from the versus battles to try to, hope that will contribute to the boxing numbers and making the boxing numbers look a certain type of way.
That
But the
shit ain't
fact of the
working.
matter is this: Michael Hunter duck Philip Hergovich, and sign with Triller and try to base it on the money. And this the same dude who went life or death with Alexander Povetkin, and I feel like lost to Alexander Povetkin, and just not by much, by a point or two. And you sitting over there with a stable that don't even have no heavyweights, to entertain your stupid ass. So what type of title fight are you gonna get? What type of opponent are you gonna have? I mean, what type of activity is he gonna have 3 types a year? Unless they just gonna be moving his ass around, like using him like a prostitute, just throwing his ass to, you know what I mean? Like Luda Bella, you just stuck in the middle, working with promotional outfit on top of promotional outfit, and you just kind of just like you just out there.
Now, mind you, he said he won't fight no fighter unless they top 5 or top 10. And Philip Hergovich is top 5, but he won't fight him.
Facts. It just goes, and it's funny that he always has something spicy to say about Anthony Joshua, or he's hypercritical about everything Anthony Joshua does. But I'm like, bro, we hypercritical about everything you do. Okay, so look, am I gonna call you a fucking tryhard too? Oh, what are you a tryhard for? For going out there against, a 37, 38-year-old Alexander Povetkin and just blowing your load too quick by just throwing, 8 million freaking punches and being extremely horrible at execution when it comes to finishing the fight if you were in position to finish the fight. But typical rookie move, you didn't know that you still had a long time ahead of you. Just analyzing it in the wrong way. Or what? Are we supposed to give you roses for going out there and having a decent fight against Alexander Usyk, but you came up short, your gas tank, died on you, your VW bug broke down in the later rounds, and you just got beat on. He beat the bumper right off the front of your shit. I mean, what am I supposed to give you credit for? Being a tryhard? You're a fucking duck. This is all it boils down to. Oh yeah, shout out to my homie Lemon Pepper Cheddarlings, man. Appreciate you with the super chat, Brody. You already know what it is. Bah, bah. What's wrong with Coke? I don't know, man. You tell me. His old gas tank died on him, man. He got left sitting on the side of the road with the with the exhaust with the leaky exhaust manifold stutter. Yeah, just like that. A whole bunch of that.
Why are people even giving Michael Hunter any playtime for real? Like, he ain't really did nothing special to where he deserved all this attention and all these extra deals and all that. But what has Michael Hunter really done significant, special? Seriously. Look at the state of boxing right now. You only have to have 1 or 2 marquee names on your resume, and they will say that you are the second coming of Jesus in boxing. That's all you need. You don't really have to fight consistent top caliber opponents on a regular basis. You don't have to do that at all. You only have to do is fight 2, maybe 3, depending on who you are and your record. But mainly, you only have to fight 1 or 2 marquee opponents, and that's it. That's it.
I mean, realistically, if we look at the ceiling that is Michael Hunter, I mean, it's not really that high. It doesn't really go up that many floors if we want to talk about his level of talent. I mean, he will be perceived no different than I would look at like a Sean Porter, or a guy who goes out there, give you somewhat of what's considered entertaining, is going to put on a good fight for the other guy, but he's nothing more than a gatekeeper. He's not a heavyweight champion. He'll never be a champion. The crop of fighters that are out here right now, Michael Hunter doesn't measure up with those guys in the top 5. Like, he can't beat Hergovich, and he damn sure can't beat Anderson. Those are facts. where Big Baby sits and where Michael Hunter sits right now, Big Baby eats this nigga food, and don't even get me started. Philip Hergovich straight takes his bike and his gold chain. You know what I'm saying? Send him running off crying to the rabbit with his pops and shit like this Friday. My mama bought me that chain. Those type of vibes. That's what Philip Hergovich does to Michael Hunter. Like, nigga, he gives you that. My mama bought me that chain, kind of, you know what I mean? He gives you those type of vibes. So at the end of the day, you know, Michael Hunter just basically went over there and tried to justify, you know, the financial, I guess, the financial benefits that were awaiting him for signing this Triller contract as some form of, you know, a shield. But the fact of the matter is, if anybody is using, you know, their typical, I mean, just basic common sense, you would see that Triller isn't in the promotion of boxing. Triller is an outsider. Triller is a visitor. They have no roots within the sport. And once again, boxing loves these people that get together with their hedge funds, or they take their big tech money and they just throw it around in the sport, you know, trying to put on fights because they have absolutely no idea of what it takes or what type of, you know, or how frugal you have to be to sustain certain type of events, or how to balance out a card and the finances in that card instead of paying everybody astronomically and looking at them like a star, because you have no choice, because you basically have to be like pretty much a homeless guy with a handout, with a cup looking for a handout. You have to accept anything that is coming your way. It doesn't matter if the boxer are 41 years old, you know what I'm saying? 50 plus year old legends, they have gout. Doesn't matter if you got to grab a couple guys from the MMA, bring them over and have them, you know, interjected in a couple boxing matches. Doesn't matter if you got to grab, you know, a couple of upstarts, you know, fluff their record on some Charlie Z type crap and use those guys, or just, you know, the journeyman of all journeymans. You know what I'm saying? Grab you a couple Harold Sconias. Who knows? You know, but those are the type of things you got to do because you're simply a visitor. And being a visitor, always thinking that, you know, you can outsmart what has been based on, you know, over 100 years of tradition and money exchanging hands through specific individuals. You just think you're smarter than everybody. And once again, you go back, you're crying about the money that you spent and you're trying to get out of fights. So it just shows you, man, all of the stuff the Triller claimed that they were trying to do, man, it was only a facade. Because, I mean, when you're looking at Tito Ortiz versus Anderson Silva and Evander Holyfield versus, you know, Vitor T2, HGH Belfort and shit like that, I mean, what else can you say? You went from Mike Tyson and Roy Jones to this, to Ja Rule and Fat Joe singing at halftime and shit. I just can't. You can't make this shit up.
They should have took their time with boxing. They shouldn't have tried to rush into boxing like that. They was cool with the verses. They was doing their thing with the verses and whatnot. But when they came into boxing, they should have kind of just took their time. I mean, I'm still hearing that Mike Tyson having an issue with his little money that he was supposed to get from the Roy Jones fight. So, I mean, at the same time, that wasn't even a fight. That was an exhibition. So, I mean, if you having problems paying dudes an exhibition, how you gonna pay supposedly decent fighters in real fights?
Exactly, bro. Like, they basically try to come in and establish like some level of how do I put it? Sensational sensationalizing wrestling events in the world of boxing. And that doesn't work. You can't come over to boxing, and even though you might have had some innovative things that you did that might have worked with Snoop and shit like that. I mean, being a pundit and just being entertaining.
About Snoop though, bruh. Who cares about
true.
Snoop?
I'm just saying. But having somebody like Snoop Dogg, the entertainment value he brought, who would have thought that he would have been a decent pundit? So even though that ain't shit, what I'm saying is You can't come over here and you can't do all of these freaking WWE style events in boxing and think that shit's gonna pan out or it's gonna sustain in some form of financial longevity because that shit crashed and burned quick. They looking for the cake like DB Cooper. They trying to get up out the situation.
No, you fucked up. No, you fucked up.
Yeah, because come on, bro. How would you look at all of these old men, boxing or whatever? Like, it's not bringing no feeling back. Like, bro, if it's hard enough for Evander Holyfield to freaking get up and put his pants on and put his shirt on, you know what I'm saying, and go to work every day, let alone talk. I mean, what do you think it's going to be for his fans? It's going to be hard for them fools to get up too because they going to be the same age, if not older. It's only a few of us who know what Evander Holyfield was to boxing. The rest of them, they straight up old as shit.
And my
like,
thing
let's
is,
be serious. This was before Wi-Fi. Niggas had pages. I'm talking about the big ass cell phones. If you had one of the big ass Motorola cell phones, you had some money. Right? This was that time.
But what was Evander gonna do against Vitor Belfort? Vitor Belfort about our age. What was he gonna do?
Man. He wasn't thinking.
Evander should have sat his old ass down where the fuck he was at. Stop bullshitting. Like, man, he was his fighting style is a young man fighting style, bro. His fighting style, the way he fight, is not meant. Even Mike Tyson, the way he fight, is not meant to be for an older cat.
Because I mean, come on, bro. Like Evander Holyfield, one thing I can say about that situation, it was real bittersweet for me because I really don't like seeing the legends of our sport, stooping to such low lengths, but then, having this and people like giving them this distinguished sense of pride and, warrior spirit and all of this crazy stuff they try to sprinkle on top of it when instead it's just like, bro, you need to sit your ass down somewhere, pop some grandchildren on your knee, spend all of this money you done made over the course of your career being in front of this TV, entertaining people, and do something lavish with your family or some shit like that. Because being in this ring, just looking at your body right now, like it's like on some Wicked Witch of the West, like I'm melting type shit. Niggas' skin be melting straight from their abs. I don't know if that's abs on their chest or a bunch of fucking hernias. You know what I'm saying? Like, how the fuck do I know? You know what I mean? Like these dudes are, and that's what you're offering, and people looking at this stuff like, man, like, it's just unfortunate watching legends be in that position. So for me, it was bittersweet because Evander Holyfield was talking all of that shit about how he could handle Mike Tyson in the ring, and he got his ass beat by Vitor Belfort, and he got knocked the fuck out in like 5 seconds. So that's why you should have sat your dumb ass down. And I love you, real deal, but come on, man. Like, that's the problem with you. Like, look at Oscar De La Hoya, man. Like, now we got Oscar De La Hoya coming out the woodworks, boom.
Yeah, after COVID. He done got COVID and all the shit. Now he talking about, I'm still gonna fight, though. I'm still gonna fight, though. Sit your old ass there.
He ain't know if he was going to fight, if he was going to quit. He was in the look. That motherfucker probably started hitting that bag, probably started working out, and he was just like, look, man. He realized that he had some real life-defining decisions he needed to make at that very time because the workout was fucking real. I know that nigga was ready to back out right then. 3 shots on the bag.
There you go. I think these dudes need to cut it out. They looking at a chance to get a bag, bro. Like De La Hoya, Vander, all these dudes is looking at the opportunities. Like, hey, I could use my name. I could use who I am as a means to promote these little exhibition fights, and I give me a little quick bag real quick, and it gives me a segue into hearing Clarissa Shields and what she said about being on the Jake Paul undercard and I got to put some respect on her name about this shit because she was let it be known that she'll never fight under Jake Paul undercard. She'll never fight on none of that shit. She said Amanda Serrano only got like what a quarter mil, barely a quarter million. She said she'll
Yeah.
never fight that. She said she's $1 million fighter. She'll never fight for that type of purse ever in her life. So you'll never fight on the Jake Paul undercard. She said she's a real fighter. Basically, Jake Paul not a real fighter. She did say she don't mean no disrespect, but she did mean disrespect. So,
well, hey, Boone, you want to know? I find that funny that she means no disrespect because I mean all of the disrespect and all fact when I say this that this is the same individual who backed up out of a life and career defining Katie Taylor fight and where she was gonna get paid handsomely more money than she's ever been paid in her life. I'm talking a nice 6-figure salary, but instead not only did she back out of the fight, she calls herself, stealing, what I'm saying, $10,000 that Eddie Hearn sent to her, for her training expenses since she was stuck with COVID. And, Eddie Hearn had to go, what I'm saying, really hard about trying to get that money back. As a matter of fact, I'm wondering if she ever paid that $10,000 back to Mr. Hearn, considering, he had to go, and be so very forthcoming to the public about what you owed. So, I just find that funny that she's talking about her value and what undercard she won't fight on when this is the 126-pound, 120-pound Slayer. Like, she never fights anybody in her own freaking weight class. She's always diving down or diving even farther down past the weight underneath of that. Like, look, Amanda Serrano, like, she's just one of these people that's so full of herself and act like, that she's so deserving of all of the fruits that, boxing has to offer on somewhat of, on a male's level. Like, she's really arrived like that, but this person is only, ducked out of, the most defining, the defining moment she could have had in her career. Wow, you know what I'm saying? Trying to rob the plug at the same time and having to get, humiliated on Twitter and every freaking major news outlet for it. So it's just like, are you really better than the Jake Paul undercard? Are you really better than being on anybody else's undercard? Because I do believe that you have to fight on, everybody's undercard. More mostly, in pretty much in all cases, men's undercard because you're not that much of a draw. And I understand that women boxing is getting better and y'all doing your thing to get it out there to the world. But let's be honest here. You're not a draw unless you're thrown on the undercard of another male known boxer. That's how you get the earnings that they get you. People go out of the way and do a lot just so you can seem like you're more important than what you really are. You do know that, right? You do know, Amanda, the only reason you get paid the way you get paid right now is because you're thrown under the ass cracks of men in a co-main or something like that, because people actually, care and respect what you do and what you give into the game, but you just constantly just got to disrespect yourself every time you speak out your dumb ass mouth, man.
I just want to see Chris Shields fight Savannah Marshall, man. That's what I want to see. Because there ain't
That's the
nobody.
one,
I really
man.
feel like Chris Shields needs to fight Savannah Marshall, do that, and after she beats Savannah Marshall, because I do think she'll get Savannah Marshall. I think she'll get her out late, working her to the body and shit. But I think she should go to MMA and do her thing in MMA. It ain't no money. It ain't nothing for her in boxing. There's no opponents for her. There's no dance partners for her in boxing. She only really got one now in the Savannah Marshall. Outside of that, she don't got no dance partners. So I think as a female fighter, she should just go ahead and move on and go do MMA and get some real fights, some real competition, and maybe even get some real money out the deal. Because I think she'll make more money in MMA than she would in boxing.
Honestly, it's like, boom. People keep saying, I think you got an echo. I keep forgetting to say something. But like, man, for real, just like Amanda Serrano is just like, look, man, a lot of accomplishments, underwhelming. And it's just like, I just feel like a lot of, people in the sport need to humble themselves and they really just need to look at, if I was to reflect, if I was to be confidently speaking, if I was a lot of these boxers right now, If you reflected on 2021, and let's not use the whole pandemic excuse, because there's been fans in the stands. I mean, it's been pretty underwhelming. And I mean, if you look at the opposition, it's been pretty underwhelming. If you look at the numbers, it's been pretty underwhelming on a consistent basis. And not only that, fights that were already supposed to be signed, sealed, and supposed to be delivered, they never happened. So to hear the egotistical, narcissistic bullshit that they consistently kick out of their mouths when they speak on where they won't fight or what's beneath their standards, I'm like, you aren't even on par with the standard right now. I would have to say that you are literally measuring up to below the standard right now. So I don't see how these motherfuckers could like be proud of who they are in their profession, because if you look at what they're doing, they haven't really did shit. 2021 has been the year of letdowns in the box community, and only a couple of people delivered.
You got Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia got mental health issues because he got baby mama drama. That's it. Baby mama drama. Got issues with his baby mama. I got mental health issues, man. I gotta, take a break. I gotta cut back from boxing. Then the whole ass thing was gonna come back to fight, trying to come out fight Yorkis Gamboa. And what the narrative gonna be, depending on how he beat Yorkis Gamboa, is if he knocked Yorkis Gamboa out, then they gonna say he could be Tank. However he beat Yorkis Gamboa, they gonna say that's how he gonna beat Tank or Devin Haney or Teofimo Lopez. I already see the narrative.
Man, boom, that's a sad fucking excuse of a move, especially coming from this motherfucking wet, extra dry hair gel, slick back, motherfucking Menudo #2 looking ass Negro, man. Like, let's be honest here. All he did was criticize Devin about the Yuriorkis Gamboa fight. I mean, all he does is criticize other individuals about his opponents. But then he has a mass following of fans, who go to bat for him, carry his balls and shit when he gets up out of the chair, and just pretty much just, echo Ryan's name while they skipping down the hall, while they holding it, his inside out pocket and shit. Like, if you just look at all of these dudes, let's just peep the narrative. I wonder how many of them are gonna entertain this whole experience that Ryan Garcia, not only is he not fighting Jojo Diaz, not only did he not fight Javier Fortuna, not only did he, I mean, this would be like, he was on the verge of doing the mandatory eliminator thing over the WBC eliminator thing over about 3 times already. I mean, I wonder what the protection plan is going to continue to be like, because Ryan Garcia is another one, because I have to be honest and just continuously call it down the middle, because if I look at the level of scrutiny, the level of hate people like Devin Haney has received when, he's had to go out of his way and travel the road of proving himself to be real, and his skill set measures on the level of somebody that you can identify with the top 5 in the 135-pound division. Well, he did that, So at this point in time, and the person that he beat, beat the person that, he's riding the high on for beating with the, for knocking him down with the body shot. So all I'm saying is, it's just funny, the hypocrisy, because, Ryan Garcia, they just sweep his name to the side, and just champion for him. But when it comes to everybody else, they always got something to say.
His shit don't stink. Ryan's shit don't stink at all. Everything Ryan do is no stuff. It's always a cover. Even kind of cover for that motherfucker. That a bitch. And he don't even train like that. He is an Instagram model, bro.
What does Yuriorkis fucking Gamboa have to offer a 22, barely 23-year-old kid who hasn't even developed into the man strength and developed into the full sense of his body? What does he have to offer you after fighting freaking Tank Davis, after fighting freaking Devin Haney? Like, what, after get beat by Bud, all of the fights he's been knocked out in recently and over the past few years, considering that he's got to be 38 now, damn near 39, what does Yuriorkis Gamboa have to offer Ryan Garcia? And if anybody would comfortably sit and say out of their mouth a fucking triangle theory, slap the shit out of yourself, because to even think that he has a valid triangle theory with a freaking a punched up senior citizen with one bad leg at this point in time. We know Yuriorkis Gamboa isn't the same threat. We know he isn't the IBF, you know what I'm saying, title holder, you know, Cuban killer, you know, that dog that he was back in the early, you know, 2010s and shit like that. We know that. It's 2022, dude. Like, what? So that triangle theory shit is dead. I don't even want to hear nobody even use that as an excuse. There is no reason this kid should even be in the ring with him. And the people who is going to try to make that's going to try to make that matchup, you should be slapped, because you already know, like, respect the fighter who has some form of dog in him, who is a former champion. Like, yo, like, you keep trying to put this man in fights and just use and abuse this dude because of his name when you know he ain't even there. Like, come on, man. That's some corny shit to me.
Mr. T, Ryan ain't no champion. He ain't no champion at 35. So ain't no mandatory. That ain't even a question. So it ain't no, if you fight Gamboa, he don't gotta fight. No, he ain't a champion. So what does a mandatory have to do with somebody who ain't even, who just technically is a supposedly contender? That's it.
And this nigga's not like how the fuck, like, yo, beyond virtuoso, beyond the title eliminators, this man had a fast track, you know what I'm saying, to the WBC title on several occasions and completely turned it down for other options that only put him in, you know what I'm saying, put him under the wings like a 4-piece wing and fried rice from, you know what I'm saying, from the Goodies carry out or some shit when it comes to Devin Haney. Because either way, in the situation, in the direction he went, he still was in a back seat for that WBC title. And then you were talking about going down to 130 pounds instead of going after, you know, a world title at 135. Nobody gave him stick about that. But when I made the gray area, everybody tried to say that, you know what I'm saying, I just hate Mexican fighters and shit like that. No, the fuck I don't. I absolutely fucking love Mexican fighters. I love all fighters. I just can't stand when people just can't smell bullshit. Like, clearly, if an individual has a fast track to fight for the 135-pound title, and you're a 135er, and you're talking about going to 130 pounds to fight Tank, I just got to see it for what it is, man. And every time this dude try to fight you, man, you put him last. The first time he ran up on him, after Ryan beat Romero Dunno, who was fucking ranked like number 34th in the fucking world. I think he was like number 2 in the Philippines.
That's terrible.
Devin Haney ran up in the ring. He did the same shit. He curved him, talking about, you know, you want to see this person, and this person, and then put Devin Haney last. The only time you put people last is when you fear them the most, man. I can't bait. I'm not motherfucking playing bodyguard for this dude, man.
Cause Jojo Diaz fought Fortuna and beat Fortuna, but Ryan Garcia ran high and wide away from Fortuna. Would not fight Fortuna for nothing. But Jojo Diaz comes fight Fortuna, beats Fortuna, and then all of a sudden now you hear Ryan Garcia finna fight Jojo Diaz, and then next thing you know, you're finna fight Yuriorkis Gamboa. Bruh, these dudes ain't finna fight nobody of no significance, no real depth, no nothing. it ain't no real depth in these dudes in the 135-pound division no more, bro. I've been come to accept that at this point. The only person that really wants to fight at 35, from what I can see, for real, is Vasily Lomachenko. He really won't. You could tell he really won't that T.O. smoke. And Devin Haney. I think those are the only two dudes at 135 pounds that really want to fight whoever, whenever, however. And it's literally only a handful of fighters in the sport of boxing as a whole that'll fight whoever, whenever, however. I think Alexander Usyk don't matter. I think they really don't want AJ to lose to Usyk, because if he loses to Usyk, Usyk is a real true champion. He will come to your city. He'll come to your backyard, come to your house, and beat your ass in front of God and everybody, your mama and your
He'll
kids.
come to your bitch baby shower.
Right. And it don't make him no difference. None. So, I mean, I feel like it's very few fighters that's willing to do that type of shit. And I feel like what Ryan is doing, he pretty much became an IG model, built his clout off of IG like a bitch, like a straight female. No disrespect to the ladies in the building, but it's being 100. He owns some female IG model, want to bend over and show his ass and make duck faces and all that shit and kicking it with the Paul brothers and all that. That's all it is. It's a clout move. Ryan Garcia at this point to me ain't no different than the fucking Paul brothers. Personally, the only thing I would give him over them is that he actually fought and beat real boxers.
Yo, the crazy thing about the whole Ryan Garcia, complex and the toxicity that is, you know what I'm saying? The Ryan Garcia, you know what I'm saying? Fucking sisterhood of traveling fucking panties fucking fan club. The one major thing that really bothers me most about him is it's just like, yo, y'all dudes got to be more disingenuous to the game when you speak of it, and on so many levels, because it's like, man, look, they try to put, at the time when he was going to fight Javier Fortuna, they act like that shit checked all the boxes. Man, I understand motherfucking Javier Fortuna is a former champion, but who the fuck is Javier Fortuna, man? This nigga hasn't done anything sensational since getting fucking sparked the fuck out by fucking
They giving you the prize so soon. They giving you the accolades as the number one guy, and you this, you that. These dudes could win one super title or a regular title, and they'll blow them up bigger than what
he ain't done nothing sensational since, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he got what? He got who? Didn't he get sparked out by Jason Sosa? Yeah. In the 8th round, right?
Oh.
Correct. Chat. Mark, you in here, right? Didn't Javier Fortuna get sparked out by Jason Sosa in like the 8th or 9th round? And niggas act like this dude like Superman. And don't get it twisted. Javier Fortuna got slicks or whatever, but that motherfucker light bulb goes off faster than some bitch in a fight. That motherfucker cannot stay disciplined, cannot pay attention. This motherfucker got hella motherfucking lost. You've seen this nigga get embarrassed in every motherfucking type of way. My whole thing is this. Since when did motherfucking Javier Fortuna become this top fucking dog killer at 135? Motherfuckers started acting like this was some way to judge Ryan, like it puts him, in the upper echelon of 135 conversations, when really Javier Fortuna is nothing more than saying you're fighting somebody who is decent and you can say is in what, the top 10 and fucking at 135, but at the end of the day it doesn't make him a fucking real threat. Like Javier Fortuna, man, if it come to blue chip fighters, man, that's not blue chip, man. That's not what blue chip look like, man. Blue chip don't motherfucking go out with his motherfucking eyes in the motherfucking stars to Jason Sosa, man, when you was kicking his ass the whole goddamn fight, man. I'm just saying, man.
Jason Sosa.
The nigga, the most sensational thing he's done in his fucking career is get sparked out by Jason Sosa, man. That's the only reason why. Ain't that the only reason why fucking Jason Sosa ended up in the fight with Vasily Lomachenko, because he sparked his little dumbass out?
Hey, that's
I remember that shit like yesterday.
Said he ducked the title fight for a title eliminator and then ducked the eliminator. Ain't that a bitch?
It was the 11th round. I knew it was one of them joints in the later portion of the evening, But that motherfucker was through the ropes looking ugly.
You ain't supposed to lose like that, dog. Let me see. Let me see if I could put that fight up.
It just trips me out, man. Basically, what I'm saying is people will take opposition who they know is no more than a decent fighter or mediocre fighter, a good fighter, but not a great fighter, not elite, and try to act like they're more special than what they really are, only to protect, you know what I'm saying, the narrative that is Ryan Garcia or whatever prima donna they want to protect.
To me, is it really worth it? Is Ryan really gonna get you that much money? Do y'all see that much money in Ryan Garcia to where y'all got to do all this excess cap for? Like, really though, like how what is he really bringing to the table for you as a promoter, and what is he bringing to the sport of boxing? Because I get it, y'all doing a little boy band thing with him and all that, trying to bring little teenage girls. But Ryan going to eventually grow up and get older, and the motherfucker got a whole baby mama and kids, probably going to get married and all that shit. Do the right thing, typical in the Mexican culture for them to get married to the woman that they have a kid with. So it's natural that boy band phase is going to be over and done with soon enough. So that shit that you're trying to sell going to be over. So what is Ryan really going to do? Because he ain't fighting nobody like Canelo is fighting motherfuckers. He's not doing that type of shit. So how you gonna sell Ryan?
Man, mentality, I tell people, I stress this enough to people, man. Mentality is everything, you know, when you look at a fighter. And my whole thing is this, you know, and it doesn't matter. I mean, certain fighters, you know, have a certain thing in them that turns on them that they just born or they birth with, or they just have in them that turns on fight night or whatever, or anytime that they under them lights in the press or they out when it come to just dealing with their peers in that community, to where they just persevere now, and they deal with all of the drama that comes with it. You know, heavy is the head that, you know, holds the crown. And at the end of the day, when you're a boxer, yeah, you do have a lot of responsibilities. You might have a lot of eyes looking at you. There is a lot of training. You might hurt one day. You might not want to get up. All of these things factor into place. But what this is the type of, you know, we dealing with two completely different animals from, you know, yesteryears to right now, or just any punk motherfucker in any generation when it comes to the fight game. Basically, what you're dealing with is an individual who out here making a whole bunch of babies, who got a silver spoon stuck up his motherfucking ass, who basically don't really got the money like that, who got this broad, knocking this broad all the way up. And for real, he trying to save face from child support, and she running his ass through the fucking ringer. So he taking time off from freaking boxing to get his head on straight, based on he out of control and he can't wrap up his shit when it come to fucking some pussy. That's what it boils down to me, because the problems that Ryan Garcia has aren't no real, man, look, man, they real baby mama type, weak beta male energy type, you know, I'm trying to find ways to mask my responsibility or smolder, you know what I mean, kill the fire of what is my personal life, because we all know, and this is a fact, that your baby mother, the mother of your kids, has outed you for putting your hands on her and doing all types of wild stuff on social media. So we know you got problems with, you know, how you getting down over there. That's where the breakdown is coming from, dealing with a woman, bro. So you ask yourself if that dude is really fully equipped to be a champion at the end of the day. It's just typical goofball stuff, man. He ain't focused, man. Child support got him. Child support nightmares got this man having mental breakdowns. I'm telling you, man. Look at that. Shout out to the Budo. Arla said, Ryan Garcia has 4 kids. He has 3 different mothers. And look, I ain't even gonna say who. I ain't gonna say what, because I don't really care to go all in that man personal life like that. Like, hey man, to each his own, nobody life is perfect or whatever. But I've seen all of the messy, all of the messy details in the inner workings of Ryan Garcia's problems from, a very, very reliable source. And it just don't look good. It's typical, young dude made a bunch of, mistakes, got in over his head, and he just, ain't holding it. He just ain't holding it down. And that's where the mental that's where the mental breakdown's coming from. Hell no. Hell no. I mean, if you do, it is what it is. I mean, some people just, I don't know. Me, I just wouldn't want the complications, man. I just wouldn't want the complications of, That's just me and my own personal life, man. But I'm not one to judge. Shoot. Me and my sister got different fathers. So, but she's still 100% my sister. But I'm just saying, when you a young dude with talent though, and you got a lot to offer and a lot to give, these are the typical things that we call honey traps. We call that, the Venus flytrap theory. You know what I mean? Shorty gonna give you them sweet watery guts, and oh, best believe they bussin'. She gonna hit all the right type of pitches and shit that your ears like to hear when she moan and shit. She gonna get extra real close, all to your ear and shit like that. She gonna try to make you bust a nut smooth, fast, all up in her. You know what I mean? Because she know the promise. I mean, shoot, she been going to school with you since middle school or whatever, watching you hit the bag or whatever, sneaking over to the crib, coming to all your workouts. You know what I'm saying? She been putting her bid in as a youngin'. Not saying every woman move like that, but a lot of women move like that. Man, you don't think these women enough smart, man? Look, women, look, man. Ain't no woman shy about, ever saying that they want a man for his resources, B. Fall in the trick bag. These are the things that happen to you. Yeah, I don't know what that life is like. Like I said, he reckless. He reckless with what he doing out here. You know what I'm saying? Pretty boy living out of control. Overindulgences, man. All I got is, both my kids by the same woman. So I don't know what that's like. I don't know what that's like at all. Dean Campbell, salute. All right, man. So I want to shift gears a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So what's up with your boy Tyson Fury, man? Um, DT3 said, he looking like he about to come in to fight about 300 pounds, yo. He looking like 300-pound Fury. He looking like the Fury. He looking like Pub Fury. If this dude coming at 300 pounds, man, honestly,
he coming in 300. He coming in off all the booze, all the drink, all the Heinekens, all
oh
that.
shit.
He coming in 3+, bro.
Big three though. Big three like the Ice Cube basketball league. He coming in the big three, huh, man? All right, boom. Must have stepped away again. But
Hold
yeah,
up, I'm
man.
back. I'm back. What you
Oh, you
say?
back?
I'm back. What you say?
I said so. He coming in the big three like the Ice Cube basketball league. Big
Yep.
300.
Big 300. He coming in huge. I saw it in the press. I didn't think he was really, because Tyson Fury always just saying stuff just to say stuff. Sometimes he mean what he say, but then the vast majority of the time, he just talking just to talk. He really don't mean some of the shit. But when he said he was coming in 300, and then you see him in the pressure looking real big and real just kind of sloppy looking a little bit, because he already looked big the first time they fought, but this time he looked a little bit either around that size or a little bit bigger. And what's weird to me, what's even more messed up, is the fact that he was talking about there was that picture of him when he looked at all slim and skinny and stuff, so we thinking that he done lost weight. And Quiet just kept, I don't know when they put some of these pictures out. These could be old pictures. that they putting out. A picture that he probably took when he was getting ready for Wilder.
It's a Photoshop
and he put it out
psyop,
front.
B. Just know that it's a Photoshop psyop. They running Photoshop psyops out here just to throw off the people,
Right.
and to generate a bunch of open conversations about just different conversations on what people might hypothetically believe Tyson Fury's weight to be.
Thing that you don't hear Fury say now, though, bro. You don't hear Fury talking that lineal shit no more. Ever since he got that WBC belt, you don't hear that lineal, this lineal, that lineal. You don't hear none of that. What's even more messed up to me is the fact that he used that shit to promote himself to make him look bigger than what he was. How the fuck you basically retired for 3 years? You sit your ass on the couch for 3 whole motherfucking years, and then you pop the fuck up out of nowhere and then say, I'm the lineal heavyweight champion of the world, but motherfucker, you was retired. So basically, you gave up that lineal status in retirement. So how the fuck you come up out of retirement for 3 years and still claim to be a lineal champion after every motherfucker's then fought, belts then been exchanged and all the shit? You want to pop the fuck up talking about you the lineal champion, then as soon as you become the WBC champion, the one belt that you said then you haven't won actually, and now all of a sudden you ain't speaking that lineal. I'm the lineal champion. I'm the lineal champion. I'm lineal. You ain't speaking that lineal shit no more. That lineal shit was capped. That lineal shit was bogus bullshit as a means to try to promote him and make him look bigger than what he was, man. Real right.
But boom, beyond that, how did the boxing world, how did the media pundits, how did ESPN, how did the people just let Tyson Fury come back and claim lineal and claim the lineal champion? And why the ESPN, of course, considering they supposed to be partners with Top Rank. Well, I shouldn't say ESPN, Top Rank, excuse me. How could Top Rank throw this man out there and advertise him as a lineal market him as a lineal champion, when they're supposed to be Top Rank and their slogan is they do boxing. Well, if you do boxing, basically what you do is you do that shit all the way the fuck wrong. Or you only do boxing to your benefit. You don't do boxing for the betterment of the fans. And basically, if we got everybody out here lying about what their status is as far as a fucking champion when they've been pretty much winning nothing but little hostess and little Debbie fucking cake eating contests for the duration of the past few years, and then pop up and fight a couple of bums, one as a matter of fact, or no, better yet, one that you can simply French kiss in the mouth, and you can only do about 7,000 to 9,000 fans, showing up to see your fight, and another guy that you basically can pick up, cradle him like a baby and kiss him all in his mouth, and then go out and fight Deontay Wilder. So, hey, at the end of the day, how did the world of boxing and how did everybody that's in it allow this man to go like that? Because it's something they willing to accept, because as long as favoritism is the worst drug in boxing, because it'll completely make people dismissive of the facts and just go along with whatever narrative is painted, no matter how much of a lie it truly is, because you would rather benefit from that lie than live in the truth of a fighter you just can't stomach because he's on the opposing side of who you cheerlead for.
And they magically hoping that Wilder is going to do some masterful boxing tactics in this fight. And
but I don't the crazy, you want to know what I was thinking though, Boom? The crazy thing when he said he was coming in at 300. First, I was bugged out, like, yo, that shit crazy. He shouldn't do that. What is he thinking? But at the end of the day, man, when you look at Tyson Fury is 6'9", basically scraping 6'10", and he's just a mountain amongst, a mountain amongst men. So at the end of the day, it's like 300 pounds on Tyson Fury with the lackluster, inferior, invisible footwork that is Deontay Wilder, and the lackluster invisible skill set that is Deontay Wilder. This dude could be 300 pounds going to ring with Deontay Wilder and still, accomplish his mission at a high, devastating, very, a very violent in a very violent way and go out there and get Tyson and get Deontay Wilder out of there in 3 to 5 rounds because the dude, I don't care what this dude been doing on video or what kind of, you know what I'm saying, like finger fucking him and Malik Scott been doing in front of, the video camera while they bigging up each other, talking about their training regimens, man. Look, I know what I'm watching and I know what I see when Deontay Wilder hits mitts. I know when a person feet is out of position. And I know when you just look like you just straight faking it so hard, you just really, really, really want to make it, but you so far from making it. And it's just a recipe you just see your head get pummeled in. And if Tyson Fury lose, I'm wrong. And he was just asleep at the wheel. But the way I see it, with the type of skill set Tyson Fury has, and being able to accomplish what he's accomplished on the front foot and the back foot, there's no reason why he shouldn't just be a Mack truck and just run through this dude like bad chili once again.
I mean, the first fight Fury came in at 272 pounds. So he'd be what, an additional 28 pounds heavy. And we saw how he was able to move at 272. I just don't think he'll be able to move that way for that long.
But what if his whole plan is he ain't even planning on moving in a direction of moving left or moving too far right to where he has to be on the balls of his feet? What if all he needs is enough to just be able to strafe to the left, strafe to the right a little bit just to get out of position of, the right hand, considering that he's fought this man twice already and he's seen him windmill it in every freaking directions, from the rasters, from the front, from the side, left, right, however he could wing, possibly whatever shot he could wing at him, all of his power shots. He's seen it. I mean, for a total of what? How many rounds now? I mean, what, like 22 rounds? So maybe he's at a level of comfort at this point when it comes to dealing with Deontay Wilder. He don't need that much movement because he knows where his body needs to be placed. And maybe he just ready to just big up and just straight walk towards this dude, bully him, push him, lay his weight on him, beat him, have him in the same positions that he did in the second fight, trying to gasp the air underneath this man's armpit, trying to stay awake on this man's neck, or getting, his punk juice sipped up off his neck by Tyson Fury while he just mauls him and leans on him once again, but do it in such more of a ferocious manner, packing more weight on top of it, because I just see this dude having to come forward and just smash down on this simp, man, for real. All I see is Tyson Fury just having to be the bigger fighter. And just once Wilder missed that first right hand, he gonna cover so much real estate. Wilder's not gonna be able to get out of the way of anything else Tyson Fury has going on for the entirety of the fight. This dude has Teenage Mutant Ninja chicken legs, B. That's a real life fact at 6'7". He don't have no type of core strength. He is not going to be able to get Tyson Fury off. Once one of them wild winging shots miss, once one of them power right hands he throws miss, Tyson Fury is going to cover so much real estate, he ain't going to be able to get away from him. Tyson Fury going to be able to ragdoll him the way he want to ragdoll him, hold him, keep him in the same positions, gas him for air, needing a whole freaking oxygen tank, round by round, every time he missed that shot. Because just like in the second fight, all Deontay Wilder had was an opportunity to throw one shot. If it didn't land and he missed, Tyson Fury closed that gap so fast, he just owned him. Made him wear all 272 pounds of it, beat him, bludgeoned him, left him bloody, and just completely befuddled, while his, wife wondered if, she gonna have any more, extravagant spending habits after, February 22nd, the way his vital signs was looking in that ring. So I just see the same thing happening again, bro. Big man closing the gap on some real Mack truck style, on a real Mack truck style assault, running him all the way over, leaving fragments, all underneath, the 18-wheeler tires and stuff, going down the road and stuff, something like Grand Theft Auto 5 with the blood streaks in the back. It's just going to be just a complete ass whooping. Like there's no type of training that you can go and get from Malik Scott and pretend to put forth combinations and act like so we're gonna see Wilder slip punches now. Is this what we're gonna do, Reaper Gang? Is this what Deontay Wilder's gonna do in his career? He's gonna be evasive, slip punches. He's gonna roll. He's gonna roll. He's gonna roll his shoulders and shit like that. Is this what I'm supposed to believe?
Yep.
The moment he ducks, God, I'm gonna pray for him, because all he gonna have on top of him is a whole lot of Tyson Fury. Pause.
I can see that. I can see Fury just basically muscling him around, kind of just walking him down, being a bigger dude, kind of bullying him. I can see that happening. But I also see Wilder actually kind of being kind of good in the early rounds. I kind of see him doing cool in the early rounds, like between round 1 and 6, maybe 7. I think he'll do cool. But past that, I don't see Wilder really doing cool. Because Wilder got to do good early. He can't let the fight get away from him early. He can't do that. He has to take it to Tyson Fury to go from round 1. He can't give Tyson Fury no time to think or figure nothing out, because he can't play chess in there with Tyson Fury. He gonna lose. It's gonna be checkmate. He gonna get everything.
But see, here's the thing, though. I think one thing that we're getting away from is, I remember back in 2019, I believe it was, when he fought Dominic Breazeale, and I think this was when he turned down the 120 million in 2019, right? Either 2019 or 2020, early in like February, somewhere in between January and March, before he fought Dominic Breazeale. I remember, this man being fearful of fighting Dominic Breazeale, knowing that he was a top 5 heavyweight at the time, and basically he was pretty much the most toughest opposition that he has had on his record. So this man pretty much does a whole 15 to 20-minute interview with freaking the boxing voice. I'm sure we all remember this here, when he talked about he was going to go back to basics. We watched this man make a whole ass of himself. It was better than volume 2 of Dave Chappelle's show, considering that we was watching this man talk about going back to the basics, using the jump rope, hitting the heavy bag for the first time in his life, and say he ignored so many things for the entirety of his freaking career because he has this quote unquote equalizer. Now, if he went back to basics for Dominic Breazeale, basically what we've been witnessing this man do with Malik Scott is truly go back to basics for the first time in his career in this fight. Now, it's kind of too late for that. It's too late for us to see you put together combinations and act like you're going to have some level of success, because there's only going to be one fool here. And I can't be that fool, considering this dude just thinks that he has this new heightened level of confidence when you haven't even seen this guy in the physical form standing across the ring from you, 6'9", 270 plus, considering the last time we saw you, he was beating you above the ropes, under the ropes, around the post, had you surfing, on zombie legs while you were sleeping out on your feet. So I can't believe for 1 second that a person who had headphones on at press conferences wouldn't even look right in that man's direction, is going to be able to take in any of the elementary style, regimens that Malik Scott is implementing down in this man's basement, and be able to let that stuff click on and be able to fall into the repetition of what he was doing with the mitts, considering that you ain't even dealt with your fears. You ain't even dealt with your fears, let alone going to Malik Scott, bro. Like this shit is as funny as, I'm laying it out, bro. I just can't believe that a dude who got his ass whooped so bad, Boom, is going to be able to go look across from this man and think that you're going to be able to formulate combinations and do what you need to do for the entirety of 12 rounds. When I've watched this man go 12 rounds consistently, laying his weight on people, beating people, including you being one of those people that he beat the crap of. You went from all of this cheating stuff, all of this stuff, to now you ready to convince the world that you want to be a 2-time WBC champion. I just can't see it.
Wilder can't lose this fight. Wilder lose this fight, it's over. It's done. And the cold part about it is when you need somebody else to win fight to give you some sense of validity or some sense of relevance in the sport, that tells me all I need to know about you and your career and what you're doing in the game. Because for Tyson Fury to feel gutted, for him to feel gutted that AJ lost, it's bogus. Why are you gutted? Why are you hurt that he lost? You should feel happy. That's one in that situation. That's one that should be one less person you got to worry about. He lost. Now all I got to do is worry about Usyk now. I ain't got to worry about AJ. AJ lost. Now I worry about Usyk. If that's what I'm on, if my thing is what I'm telling my fans that I want undisputed, and that's what I'm telling my fans, that's what I'm telling the boxing public, then just because AJ lose, that don't stop my goal. That don't stop what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is undisputed. So basically, AJ lose, I ain't tripping. I'm not hurt by that. Now I'm looking at Usyk. And for Tyson Fury to have to come forth and say all this little lovely speech and, oh, I'm not going to kick a man when he's down and blah, 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 and all that bogus BS, bro, it's cap. That's cap. Y'all mad because if AJ loses, that in a sense in y'all mind takes the numbers off the dollar sign down. So since y'all see those losses, y'all thinking the number gonna go down. And then on the other flip side, y'all don't want to have to deal with Usyk because Usyk is a real fighter, and Usyk don't is not finna hide behind his countrymen. He's not finna hide behind his country. If he got to come to America to fight you, guess what? He'll do it. He ain't tripping on money because the motherfucker probably not stupid with money. So he ain't finna duck you off some money shit. You ain't finna try to price himself out for nothing. So either way, y'all don't want that real Usyk smoke. Y'all want that AJ smoke because y'all can manipulate that whole situation and tarnish AJ name and do all kinds of bullshit with it. Because y'all built y'all whole damn careers off of talking about one guy in Anthony Joshua, not off of fighting people.
And to be perfectly honest, right now Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder are extremely butthurt by the fact that Anthony Joshua lost. Because believe it or not, a lot of their, the prospect of their marquee value or their earning potential, I should say, came off the back of what people could possibly see down the line, possibly being whether it's Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. The prospect of seeing that fight always left a looming, suspicion in their mind of a very high earning potential for one of the two of those guys. So it only benefits Anthony Joshua, for them to kick him while he's down, but to see him actually go down and take a loss, they don't benefit from that because it completely kills the conversation of, what could be a big fight with Anthony Joshua, the unified champion, the guy who does 90,000, because the momentum of what he does alone, and ticket sales is enough, to line their pockets and adding their name to that element is only, going to, make for, a much more appealing card. So with that being said, seeing Anthony Joshua lose, man, both of them crippled by it because there is no more, like you saying, there is no more clout chase based on Anthony Joshua while that man is down. They can only really do that while he's up, and while he's down right now, that shit really, really, really puts a, dent into whatever, they could see their finances potentially being with a fight with that dude.
I mean, they even came forward. Wilder's camp, they even came forward and said that undisputed is all until Usyk and AJ.
Facts. And that man already, reactivated the rematch clause. And his exact words was, and I quote, he was like, we don't step aside, we step on you. And I think we're going after, we answer George Super Chat, I think this should be the last conversation of the night. Considering that, that was what Anthony Joshua was quoted after, he reactivated the rematch clause. What's the reality of this guy's chances in becoming victorious 4 months from, whatever today is, or the day of, him activating that rematch clause with Usyk? But we'll get to that after we answer this super chat. Appreciate you, George, for the super chat, homie. He says, joke fantasy fight, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. versus Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Open weight fight, senior is not allowed to use a belt or a switch.
You funny as hell.
I got my money on. I got my money on Senior as long as Junior don't come to the ring wearing that those deadly weapons that he had on his feet in that video, those high heels and whatever he carrying, and that little bitch bag that he had thrown over his shoulders with that blue dyed hair of his. If the heels and the purse and whatever's tucked in the purse is completely off limits, I got my money on Senior, because then it'll be a fair one.
Senior all day.
But yeah, man, like, what boom, what do you, now that we know the rematch clause is activated, and Anthony Joshua's exact words are, we don't step aside, we step on you. What are Anthony Joshua's chances in becoming victorious in the rematch of Alexander Usyk versus Anthony Joshua 2?
I don't think they hot. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Even if he try to go at Usyk, I think Usyk got a feel of AJ. He got a good look at who AJ is and what AJ is about, and I think he's going to be way more prepared for the fight with AJ. I think he'll be prepared for AJ to come and try to steamroll him and bully him and all that. I think he'll be prepared for that. And I think AJ made the mistake in not fighting him that way the first time, because he tried to outbox Usyk, and that was the wrong thing to do, was try to outbox Usyk, because Usyk is a masterful boxer, and it was no way he was going to win that fight. And I get it when somebody say you can't do something and you want to prove people wrong and all that, but at the end of the day, AJ, your whole purpose, the only thing you're really supposed to do is win the fight. Your purpose is not to just outbox the pure boxer or to prove people wrong if they say you can't outbox them. That's fine if you can't outbox them. Your purpose is to win the fight. Your purpose is not to outbox them. Your purpose is just to win the fight. And I think now that Usyk has a good feel of what you look like, what you can do, and all that, I think he has a better chance of winning the next go round. I think AJ kind of showed his hand and what he can and can't do. Because I don't, and the thing is, for it to be different, AJ got to be a different fighter. And Rob McCracken is not teaching AJ nothing different. He ain't finna teach him nothing no different to help him prepare for Alexander Usyk. It's just gonna be the same BS we used to seeing from AJ. I just don't see AJ winning in the second fight. I'm going with Usyk in the second fight. I'm putting my prediction out right here, right now. I think it's going to be kind of like one and the same. I just think Usyk is just going to turn up a lot earlier. And I think he's going to be a lot more slicker on the inside. Usyk didn't even stay off on the back foot long. He stayed in the pocket most of the fight. So I don't see Usyk having too much of an issue with AJ. I really don't. And I think once AJ loses this third time, because I do not think AJ is going to be a 3-time unified heavyweight champion in the world. I don't think that's going to happen. I think his time, as far as boxing is concerned, and at the top, is over. Yep, I said it here first on Reaper Gang Radio. I think AJ's time is over as far as reigning in the heavyweight division. I really do. I think he's going to be a great businessman. I think he's going to do a lot for amateur boxers coming up. But I think as far as him being hungry, trying to, prove himself, I think the opportunities that he's had to make undisputed, I think all the bullshit that he's went through in the sport of boxing to get to where he's at, I think he's just tired of it. Because honestly, for real, AJ should have been able to fought for undisputed by now. He should have been fought for undisputed. But because of the bogus politics in the sport of boxing, he didn't get to do that, and he had to go all through all these other loopholes and all that other bullshit. So I really feel like because he went through all that and all the bullshit that came with it, I think it just took a toll on him. And I think I'm not saying it to knock on him. I'm saying it in the sense of I understand, because that'll take a toll on anybody when you've already had opportunities and you've even given other fighters opportunities, big opportunities that they'll never get again in the sport to fight, and they still turned it down. So I can understand why he has a lackluster attitude. He lost the little dog in him, and he's not hungry to really put on the big fights in the sport of boxing. I mean, he's still a good megastar because you still got Saudi Arabia still willing to put a whole arena for this motherfucker. Because from what I hear, the Usyk AJ fight is gonna be in Saudi Arabia. So if the Saudis are still willing to pay out a whole heap amount of money to get you a fight, I mean, who is doing that for any fighter? What country? Not city, not state, not county. What whole country is building the government? I'm not talking about like a rich. I'm talking about the government is building a stadium, a ring for AJ. Who doing that? Who is doing that for any fighter, bro? And they still gonna do that. They're not doing that for Usyk. They doing that for Anthony the Landlord Joshua. Even in his defeat, even at his lowest points that he's had in the sport of boxing, he still commands the highest form of respect throughout the world. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder have yet to do it. They haven't done it. Don't see them doing it, and that's why they can't function or do shit in their own career unless AJ do something. Because AJ commands so much more pull than all of them. That's why Lennox Lewis is hateful of him, because he commands more pull than even Lennox Lewis does now, and Lewis did in his own fight career. I'm done.
Man, yeah, man, you said a lot, man. You said a lot of factual things there, man. It's a lot that I could, what I'm saying, unpack with what you were saying. But I mean, just start off firstly, I would just have to say that honestly, right now, considering how fast the rematch clause was signed, which is a good thing. I'm glad to see, that this man has, the heart to go and get it back, and he isn't going to lay down and not let any outside opinions or hate or even, fear of, the unknown waver him from, still going after his goals and running, the sport of boxing and being the first heavyweight of the full belt era. Now, respecting the person for their ambitions and everything is one thing, but does that mean that I believe that he's going to be able to successfully go out and win 4 months from now? I don't. And I'm not saying that there's not a possibility that Anthony Joshua can win, but what I'm saying is I just don't believe that it can happen based off of, if I'm looking at what's available to him now, if I'm looking at what he's going to lean on in the times where he's uncomfortable during the next fight, and what he has and who's going to be that person to lean on in the rematch, I just don't see that as being beneficial to what he's going to be going up against 4 months from now. So it's just, for me, it all comes down to, in boxing is pretty much based off of this. Boxing comes down to adjustments, round by round, minute by minute, on a punch by punch basis. Boxing comes down to the man who is willing to make the adjustments. And honestly, the smartest boxers understand that, you don't have a lifelong, you don't have a plethora of opportunities to go back and continue to reinvent yourself or to get back and be able to, just hop back on the wheel and be able to, maintain that success. So everything you do, you got to make sure you strike while the iron is hot. So while I'm looking at Anthony Joshua in this 4 months, the reason why I'm picking Alexander Usyk over Anthony Joshua, for one, I'm picking him for some superior skill set. For two, I'm picking it for the fact that he was able to identify with some of the things that I believed he needed to do to win, which was to be able to stay in the wheelhouse, to put forth a level of combinations and barrages of punches to where, he pretty much never laid off of it. And Anthony Joshua showed me that he was completely befuddled. I've seen visibly since the second Andrew Ruiz fight that Anthony Joshua still doesn't know how to clinch. It was very evident in the Usyk match, because if those times where he closed the distance and he found success, if he would have had an element of a clinch game, he probably could have rubbed off a lot of heavy shots in there. And that's just something that he hasn't been able to present in this game. And if he's going to play the bigger fighter, he's going to play the fighter who's going to come forward on the front foot, and he's going to be the dominant pressure in the ring. Those are one of the things that he's definitely going to be able to have. if he's gonna want to have that success and execution in the phone booth. And speaking towards, Anthony Joshua, it just seems like, when he was in that fight, he took a lot of his time, contemplating what the other fighter was doing, and ultimately it left him in a position of fighting Usyk's fight for a majority of the night. And in times where he found success, I still didn't see the level of output which was necessary to be convincing enough to beat him, considering now he's shown that he will drag you 12 rounds. And within that 12 rounds, he can knock you out at will, based on the fact that you can't keep up. So how can Anthony Joshua become um, a different specimen in the fight if he still has the same trainer who comes in with the same Great Britain Olympic year by year amateur mind state?
Mm-hmm.
You can't become
high-level pro with amateur style.
Right. Josh fights very freaking stiff. He's not loose. He doesn't flow. The combinations don't come together. It's kind of, it's either, he either coast, you know what I'm saying? Because now it seems like he's more willing to coast, find time behind the jab, use his reach and range, and be a little bit safer. But with this fighter, you're not going to be able to find time. He's going to take that away from you. He can't go on the back foot. He can't fight with a long freaking jab. He just can't being the bigger, longer guy just simply won't be enough. And he definitely put a beating on you to think about in the first fight. So who's going to come in to help you make different adjustments? Are you going to bring in a Buddy McGirt? Are you going to bring in Jonathan Banks? Are you going to bring in somebody from Detroit? Are you going to bring in Vitaly Klitschko? You going to bring in Vlad? Are you going to bring in somebody that's going to help you understand to be able to use your size and be the bigger force in the ring when it really matters? And ultimately, that would be the best thing for him, honestly. But they got to side with you. They got something going on with one another where they dislike each other. But my thing is this: Anthony Joshua has to break away from the comfort he's been in, having natural ability carry him to victories, and being in that same pretty much Olympic style that he's always fought in. Because an amateur fighting style is not going to be able to carry him to a victory in this fight, because Usyk don't fight like an amateur at all.
It's just not gonna work. I just don't see him doing nothing special in this second fight. I see Usyk beating Joshua. I see it. And I'm gonna say it. It's gonna piss people off. But I see him stopping AJ.
Right. And another thing that I noticed, that a lot of people, if you know what you're looking at, Anthony Joshua couldn't even establish his dominant foot on the outside at any point in that fight. And this is basically a rookie. This is a rookie mistake for a professional fighter, for a unified champion. At not one point in that fight did you keep your dominant foot on the outside of that southpaw. And you ended up being in boxing, especially when you box in the southpaw. It's all about having, the advantage in your positioning. You never had your advantage in positioning. Usyk was always in position to lay it on you all night because you never established dominance on the outside of his foot. So how can you compartmentalize all of the things, all of the nuances that Anthony Joshua needs to pretty much breathe life into its game? We're talking about footwork. We're talking about, establishing dominance with the outside foot. We're talking about being able to be the bigger guy, understanding that you being able to have a clinch game if you're going to be able to take it to the phone booth. Formulating more combinations, having more win than what you had before, being able to sustain all of that. And 4 months, dude, that's a fucking tall order, man. So unless Anthony Joshua's going to go out here straight like fuck it and just go balls to the wall with the shit, and Usyk IQ is way too high for that type of shit to even go down, I think he could weather that type of storm for real.
I
if he
agree.
protect his neck.
I don't see him doing nothing. I mean, think about it. You got to deal with too many things with Usyk. First of all, you got to neutralize his feet, and just like you said, Deuce, he can't even dominate the front foot position. So you lost right there. You're not gonna outpunch Usyk. Usyk is the more volume puncher, so you lost there. Where do y'all see him winning? He needs to have the feet to bully him. He don't got the feet to bully. He can't use feet to bully him. So he lost there. He can't outpunch him. He lost there. Where does AJ have a real advantage? And don't say size, because he needs more than fucking size. Size don't win fights.
Absolutely, man. And that's why it's just like, for me, it's an easy pick right now. And like I said, unless Anthony Joshua make one major the most critical adjustment, I feel as though he can make overall things. If you're not gonna get Rob McCracken, reduce him to a number 2 or reduce him to a corner advisory. Like, that's the only, and you go inject yourself in American culture. I mean, by basically, getting an American style coach, to break yourself out of that, amateur boxing pedigree. But here's the thing. Once again, you have a lot that you have to be better than average at in 4 months that you aren't proficient at. I just don't see you being able to do these things in such a short amount of time and be able to go out there and put it all in motion. And if you do take the time to learn these things and do these things, is it all going to come together in the way in which you want that night? Because one thing we do know about boxing as well, just because you train a certain way to go out there and fight doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go out there and be able to put forth the type of, fight that you want to have in that night. You go out there and see something completely different and just a completely abandoned game plan. And with 4 months to do something like that with Alexander, I don't know, man. I don't know.
He got to heal, though. He got to heal first.
Mm-hmm.
Physically. That's gonna be about 2 or 3 weeks when he's fully physically able to really do some shit or take some punishment. And then you gotta start adding shit to your repertoire, which means you gotta go through the drill team of whatever shit you don't do. So if you lack head movement, you gotta drill head movement. If you lack footwork, you got to drill footwork, and that's it. If you lack combination punch, you got to drill different combinations. So is Rob McCracken really finna have this man drilling combinations? Is he really finna have this man drilling on footworks, doing footwork drills constantly? That's all he doing? Is he really finna have him doing that? Is he really finna have him on his Lomachenko hype? No, he not finna do that. All he finna do is the same shit he been doing. I think at the most they might try to train to be more aggressive.
Man, because at the end of the day, you can't fucking train a fighter to be what you're not, period. That's how it goes, boxer per trainer. If you're only a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 kind of a trainer, or a 1-1-2, or body shot one, like hook, uppercut kind of a trainer, and that's what you're projecting to your fighter when you're giving him his repetition while he's hitting mitts and perfecting his combinations, then what else is he gonna be other than that? When you got somebody who's over in the UK training right now with his trainer, who's very proficient in combinations, movement, having high IQ, considering that these are the things that he's been implementing with his son since he was freaking old enough to freaking stand up. So it's just like, if Rob McCracken is going to be there, he can only train to be what he is as a trainer and what he is as a fighter. And that just goes to show with any other trainer. That's why I said, man, like a Buddy McGirt, John David Jackson, you know what I'm saying? Somebody of that nature, you know what I'm saying? Joel Diaz, any one of these dudes. You know, there's several guys we
Who
can
willing
name.
to deal with the bullshit that's finna come? Cause you know that anybody that train AJ, you think about it. Anybody that decide they want to train AJ got to deal with all the hate that come with AJ too. So
Right.
like them trainers ain't gonna be shit. John David Jackson trainer, he ain't shit. John David Jackson ain't shit. They ain't gonna talk about all the fighters that he training that he didn't do well with, and then they go all the bad shit about John David Jackson gonna come out, all the bad shit about Bernie McGurk gonna come out, because not just because of him having bad experiences, but the fact that he's training the top guy in the heavyweight division. And the heavyweight division is, in a sense, the biggest division in boxing. That's what everybody
Right.
get up for.
Promotional outfits, use the favors that they have with their favorite, with their favorite news networks to go out there and put out, articles that paint a story that is going to be somewhat distasteful. So it creates, what I'm saying, a conversation during, a time to where it's supposed to be, the focus is supposed to be those individuals who's being hated on fight. That's just the way it goes, man. They've been doing stuff like that. And, like, look, you got to take and in that regard, you got to have a coach that's, what I'm saying, willing to, that kid, handle all that and know what he's settling in for over the course of the next 4 months. That's why, kind of like Jonathan Banks will be perfect, because, he's got the tutelage from, being in Crunk. And not only that, he's got the time and being with, with Klitschko and everything. So, there are things that, he can implement from what he learned from Vlad and from Emmanuel and from his time in Detroit that, that Anthony Joshua will benefit from. And his understanding of, defense too. Him being defensive savvy too, that could possibly help AJ. But like I said, man, Anthony Joshua would have to bring a completely different person to the ring. I know that sounds crazy because he definitely was in that fight at certain points, but yet and still, he still would have to bring a completely different individual than who we witnessed on the 25th, because the individual who we saw was a very apprehensive person for the first 3 rounds, and honestly, you could possibly say for the first 4. Didn't put forth no energy, and it was almost like, if I go back to it and I look at how tired he was in the end, it was almost like he was comfortable not throwing shots. Like, look at it. Well, Usyk didn't really throw that many shots either, so basically, that's just one more round I can preserve energy. Nah, he's got to be on it from the jump, bro.
He can't get no room for Usyk. He can't let off the gas pedal at all. And I think AJ's biggest issue, and the thing is, I see y'all in the chat, man, with the whole little he ain't got no heart and all that BS, man. Look, AJ got heart, man. You know what I'm saying? I just think he didn't want that fight. AJ is the type of fighter, I keep telling y'all. I said it on the last damn Reaper game live. AJ is the type of fighter, bro, that he gotta want to fight you. He has to want to get up to fight you. He got up for Pulev. He wanted Pulev. He got up for Dillian White. He wanted that fight. He didn't want this Usyk fight. He didn't want it. And that's still his bag, because you a fighter, you're the unified heavyweight champion of the world. It don't matter. You got to beat whoever they put in front of you. I'm not making no fucking excuses for it. What I'm saying is, AJ, the type of fighter he is, he has to be in a mindset of, he don't like you, this is somebody I really want to fight, or I'm actually hungry for this particular fight. And he to fight Tyson Fury for undisputed in Saudi Arabia. He was hungry for that. The fights that he's hungry for are all the fights where y'all say, that's the dog, man. He had the dog in him. He was this, he was that. He showed heart. He showed grit. That's because that was the fight that he wanted. That was the fight that he wanted. He even showed heart when he fought Ruiz the first time. He kept getting the fuck up. The ref had to stop that shit. AJ wasn't finna lay down. He didn't lay down. He could have, but he didn't lay down. So all this, he don't got heart and all that. What AJ don't got, he don't got gas. He don't got
Man,
a bag,
here's
and a
just a
chin is suspect.
man. I'm just hypothetically thinking. I've always thought that maybe Anthony Joshua, you know what I'm saying, his dog. Not saying that he don't have dog in him because, like I said, we've seen it. We've seen him get up. We've seen him put people down. We've seen him, rally to come back and win. And we've seen him just take over, dominate when he's want to, and we've seen him dominate straight out the gate. So, but what I'm saying is maybe, that level of animal instinct, that level of fuck it, that level of just plain and simple invincibility has been slowly being stripped from him in some way, considering the fact that, you know, just like Don't Ask Me saying, when first he saw Vlad, he got knocked down. So them things in the back of his head, visibly he was shook when Andy Ruiz got a hold of him and he couldn't even get his bearings back together. And maybe yet and still steadily he been kind of being civilized over time just through through being catching those big shots or being knocked down or that loss, and maybe just the fact that he's always dominated everything that he's in the ring with. When you get in the ring with a smaller guy, and this is the second time it's been the smaller guy with a 6'3" stature, basically one being fat, now the other one being fit and skinny, you know they basically, he civilized you. He got you shook. So maybe, Anthony Joshua, when he starts getting overwhelmed in certain areas to where it's just like, yo, you're not really getting off how you want to get off. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? That shit probably affect him to where, he really start questioning himself in the ring because I think that, and a lot of and there's pockets in his game to where like you can watch in the Usyk fight to where he overthinks it in a lot of scenarios. Like he doing too much downloading information and he not and it's almost like his hands is stuck by his side.
I think AJ do download too much information. I think we need to just. I wouldn't say go back to the basics. I wouldn't say that for him. Because I just really think that he needs to get with somebody else. But even if he was to get with somebody else, I don't think, regardless of whoever it is, they cannot get AJ to develop certain habits to where he will be physically, mentally, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally prepared for Alexander Usyk in 4 months. Like I said, he has to physically heal first. That's a part of it. And then he also, while he's dealing with the physical part, he has to mentally heal as well. And that's going to be another thing. And then he has to basically adapt and create whole new habits as a professional fighter. And this dude has been fighting this way for some years now. And now he has to pretty much adapt, not change. See, that's another thing people think. You want them to change. I'm not saying for him to change. Even with Wilder doesn't necessarily have to change. He needs to add. He needs to put more tools in the tool belt. He needs to add more to the repertoire, tighten up a few things. Because some things, as far as a fighter is concerned, is just them. Like I said, you put a good jab on Wilder, that just the jab alone, with what he already does, you give Wilder an effective jab, he's even more dangerous. And that's just one tool. That's not head movement, good feet, and all that shit. Nope, he's still shit at the back foot. Give him just a jab, and that adds a lot more to his repertoire, makes it more dangerous. But I said that to say this, AJ, I think he needs a lot more time. I think he needs at least 6 months, plus an additional camp to be prepared for a fight with Alexander Usyk. I think him going right into it right away, I think that's really his pride talking, and he just really feel like, feeling himself. He think he could do it. But what I saw more from AJ was more of the businessman than the fighter, and I just don't see him really doing nothing, if anything, with Alexander Usyk. Even if he could so-called prepare and all that, I just don't feel he got the gas to do it. He don't got the stamina. He don't got the steam. He don't have it. Usyk beats him at every point. Like Usyk and this might not make sense to most people. AJ has to alter himself for Usyk. Usyk don't got to change shit for AJ. And that's the cold part.
Yo, and the fact, and here's another thing I want to point out too, right? Like Think about this. If you Anthony Joshua and you about to go back in this, you about to go back in the ring of fire with Usyk once again in the second rematch and emphasizing heavily 4 months. Let's just take it back to the 12th round. 20 seconds left in the 12th round. Usyk basically just Usyk was told, well, beyond the 12th round, after the fight, it came out of Usyk's mouth that he was told by, his coach to knock him out, to just do his job. Now, if we think about the 20 seconds left for the 12th round, we saw Alexander Usyk basically just break this man apart at will with a combination and pretty much was able to, had Anthony Joshua and he was out on his feet. And the only thing that was holding him up was the ropes, pretty much. We saw this man eyes rolling in the back of his head. We saw this man basically able to knock him out at will. That was the last impression that Usyk left on Anthony Joshua before he left the ring. And his hand got raised and he took them belts from him. So being Anthony Joshua, dealing with the, as you speak of, the psychological aspects of taking the loss and then having to, recover physically from that. The psychological road to recovery can be a lot longer. But knowing that that man could dismantle, your whole arsenal within 20 seconds and let you know that I could put you on your backside and have you sleep. I wonder how much of that is going to, wear on this man over the course of the next 4 months, and how much is that going to play a major part. And when he gets in the ring and those same type of combinations start flying, but with better precision, a little bit more speed, and a little bit more comfort at the range he was operating at, considering he's already basically exposed you for his own eyes and being so limited, So it's just like, I don't know, man.
I mean, just like AJ is preparing for Usyk the second time, and they thinking that AJ is gonna fight a totally different fight or a better fight, and Usyk ain't going. It's like Usyk not gonna know what to do. Like Usyk ain't preparing himself. Like Usyk ain't getting ready for whatever AJ do. Like that's the bullshit narrative that's being put out too. Like just because y'all thinking AJ lost the fight, y'all think AJ gonna come back. Like Usyk is gonna be better too. Usyk ain't gonna. Usyk is gonna. He know that he could turn up in certain spots that he didn't turn up in this fight. So he know like, hey, this right here, I should have turned up. I could have like. Usyk could have stopped Joshua. Okay, let's be clear. If Usyk knew then what he knows right now, I bet you he's saying I could have stopped him. Usyk even said it's the biggest win of his career, but not the hardest fight of his career. That tells me all I need to know. Usyk stopped Joshua within 8 to 10 rounds. He could have.
Absolutely, especially when you pretty much show that, you could take 20 seconds, and pretty much break a man down and show him that you could, leave him out on his feet and knock him out. You basically letting everybody know that, it's that easy for me to, really turn up on this guy. And now that I've experienced 12 rounds with it, I have the experience, and now I have a level of comfort and knowing I know how I could really get loose and operate with this individual, if I had 12 more. And he's about to have 12 more. And my whole thing is, it's like, look, man, when you're dealing with an individual who pretty much, owns you on all aspects and cripples you and pretty much takes away what, where you're already limited with your punches and things of that nature, it's like, man, how are you going to overwhelm him? What are you going to bring to the table? Because once again, you don't have the clinch game. You don't have, you don't have the footwork to be able to keep up with him. You know what I'm saying? You lead foot, you deficient. Like, so it's a lot that goes against him. And, he might, Anthony Joshua might not have, that might not have been the fight that he was gearing up for. But at the end of the day, if you sign your name on the dotted line, and not saying that you saying this, Boom, you got to be ready. And if you already experienced the loss, I defined it as this. When he lost to Andy Ruiz, I felt like that should have birthed all the hunger you need to be ferocious, all the hunger you need to be an animal. Because why would you want to ever be in that same humiliating position again? Now, if you are, you are. but I feel as though you would do everything to prevent that. I kind of feel like, you know what I'm saying, you were visibly befuddled on a level to where it's like, yo, I have a lot more learning to do, and I don't know if 4 months is going to do it. But beyond that, I wanted to shout out Boxer Diamonds 007 because, you know, he brought up a very good point to me that was kind of blowing the shit out of me when it comes to this whole scenario. I understand that people, you know, love Anthony Joshua for his character, for who he is to the sport. You know, no matter what Anthony Joshua does or who he loses to, he'll be a great ambassador to the sport and all of that. And he's definitely revitalized and brought a certain energy to boxing that boxing is desperately needed. But here's the thing, man. You can't let your love for favoritism override the fact that, you know, you're just completely being dismissive of the fact that he got outclassed, and you think that Anthony Joshua was just gonna jump back on the bike, and he's just gonna come and he's just gonna get this win in the rematch like this is Andy Ruiz 1 all over again. The difference between Andy Ruiz 1 and Alexander Usyk 1 is Andy Ruiz visibly got knocked on his backside, and Joshua could have controlled the fight and easily won that if he didn't make one simple mistake and allow himself to get clipped. There was really no point where Anthony Joshua had such an upper hand to where it was so one-sided to where you could say that I could see where Anthony Joshua dominated and where he could own Alexander Usyk in this fight. So basically what I'm saying is this, man, give the dude his respect, man, because he went in there as a cruiserweight and dethroned a two-time unified champion on top of being one, if not the biggest puncher in the division and having true heavyweight size. And he owned them, ate all of his shots, took the fight to him, was more physically, made him feel more of his physical presence than the 6'6" fighter with the 5-inch reach was even willing to do with him, and made him visibly shook. So with those things being said, man, stop just letting your favoritism cloud your judgment because you know what you saw. And as much as you want to rally for him, cool. You can rally for him and believe in him and want him to win. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't know who is going to win. But at the same time, be realistic, man, and just give the dude his credit because what he went out there and he did is not an easy thing for people to do, because if it was, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury would have already took their lead. He was the only one to do it. So I just think that, you know, it's just a little bit of disrespect being thrown on Usyk's name for the credit that's not being extended to him for what he accomplished.
I want Usyk to win just to bring back real boxing, where motherfuckers ain't really on that bag shit pretty much no more in the heavyweight division. They got the motherfuckers that's like they can't say that's gonna duck them. They can't make that narrative no more. Usyk can fight anybody. All his major wins and fights are in other people's backyards. All his big wins are in other people's backyard. He has no problem
Milwaukee, Bellevue, all of them in other people's backyard.
So I think he'll come his ass
and
right
Garcia,
over to America,
Garcia
Wilder, and get him. I think he'll come over here and get Fury and Wilder. I think he'll do it. Easy work.
Yeah, Fury. Wilder can't beat Usyk, man. Like I said, there's only one person who has the necessary skill set, and that comes based off of his God-given intangibles with being a 6'9" specimen, 270 plus pounds, with the uncanny ability of consistently letting the other opponent wear his weight, and consistently doing that to guys that have tried to come up, you know, and be a heavyweight, and consistently doing it to heavyweight. You know, just Tyson Fury just has this, you know, he knows what he was born with. And that's the big ugly shit. And he has no problem putting the big ugly weight all on you and making you visibly fatigued with doing that shit all night while being long and rangy. So that's the only reason why I would give Tyson Fury a nod and saying he's the only one that has a chance of beating Usyk at the heavyweight division, because Tyson Fury is going to do the things that a heavyweight would do because he.
I think Duss'E shit didn't kick him out. But anyway, I do think Tyson Fury is the only heavyweight that can actually.
My bad, because he's
Go ahead, bro.
Because he's modeled all of his victories off of doing just that. So if I was Tyson Fury, like I said, I would be big and ugly. I would come out like a heavyweight, and I would make them wear every bit of my weight, and just completely maul them on the inside, and just give them a dirty boxing lesson. But that's the only person who has a chance at beating them. But right now, I have to have Usyk and top 5 pound for pound mentions, and just the way he's gone about his work, the level of opposition, and operating in 2 different divisions, and conquering what he's conquered. So, I just don't. I think Usyk's reign at heavyweight champion can be long lived, for him to possibly be the first 4-belt undisputed heavyweight.
And I think he's gonna bring back real boxing and heavyweight division, and just bring back real boxing. Period. He really gonna show y'all what to do. He ain't gonna give a fuck about going into your backyard and worrying about the judges, like how some of these American fighters claim they don't want to go overseas and fight. They making all that excuses, and it's based on worrying about the judges not going their way. So
man, and I think that's bullshit, because one thing that I've noticed, and consistently for at least the past several years, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, I've been watching boxing for a long time, but consistently, if you watch overseas fight cards and shit like that, when a person is away coming into their backyard, they have a lot less static when it comes to giving that person, giving him the nod, than a lot of American cards. Not saying that it doesn't happen across the board, but you know what I'm saying, you definitely see a lot of that shit happening in America, you know what I'm saying, more on a frequent basis. So when these American fighters act like they can't go overseas, man, they doing that shit all cap.
Hell yeah. Well, let me get up out of here, bro. I gotta go cook my din. I'm cooking late, man.
Man, I was supposed to be off here 40 minutes ago, man, but definitely was a great conversation, man. It's just the beginning, as always, man. We appreciate y'all, man. Boom, man. You can go ahead and say your piece, man, and I'll carry us out, bro.
Man, first off, man, I want to spend a special shout out to the People Gang, man. Thank you for having me, as always. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Appreciate everybody that came through. Once in a special shout out to the whole boxing bunch, man. Shout out to the whole boxing bunch, man. Appreciate you, Lisa Bells, Coach Malachi, Lady Chan, Fight Figures, Raphael Dawkins. You know what I'm talking about? I want to appreciate everybody that slid through. Appreciate the set. Shout out to the whole NBBC forever. 2 Hands, Myra Mag, Andrew Tuck, along with many more that are yet to come, man. Appreciate y'all for coming through, man. As always, man. God blessings and many lessons in life, man. One.
Yeah, man, for sure, man. Definitely want to shoot a salute to the bros, man. The whole MBBC, you already know it's always an MBBC for Everton. And more importantly, man, my motherfucking Reapers, though. Shout out to that whole Reaper gang, man. You already know, man. Y'all definitely appreciate it, man. Without y'all, man, this channel, and I ain't shit. So, as we always say at the end of this shit, it costs you nothing. Pay a nigga no mind. Appreciate everybody for stopping through. Be on the lookout for, the Age of Spin dropping tomorrow. And everybody have a blessed evening and stay safe out here. Respect though. Oh, and by the way, it's the motherfucking boss.